The hottest topic circling the business world as of late is the recent news of divorce between Jeff and Mackenzie Bezos after 25 years of marriage. As we are all aware of, Jeff Bezos is the richest man on the planet for now, and is the first person to ever pass the $100 billion threshold of net worth. And thanks to this divorce is shaping up to be the biggest divorce in history, speaking in terms of how expensive it will be. And trust me, it will be expensive. The story surfaced the morning of January 9th when Jeff himself tweeted the couple's joint statement, which read, "We want to make people aware of a development in our lives. As our family and close friends know, after a long period of loving exploration and trial separation, we have decided to divorce and continue our shared lives as friends. We feel incredibly lucky to have found each other and deeply grateful for every one of the years we have been married to each other. If we had known we would separate after 25 years, we would do it all again. We've had such a great life together as a married couple, and we also see wonderful futures ahead as parents, friends, partners in ventures and projects, and as individuals pursuing ventures and adventures. Though the labels might be different, we remain a family and we remain cherished friends, Jeff and Mackenzie." Now, before I go into depth about how massive this divorce will be and what impact it will have on both Jeff and Mackenzie, I would like to express sincerely that I wish the two of them the best in their divorce. While their statement indicates they are excited for the future and they will remain cherished friends, 25 years is a very long time, and I realize a divorce is taxing at best and devastating at the worst. It's important to acknowledge that everyone, regardless of wealth and status, is affected by heartbreak. Anyway, moving on to the numbers. As it stands now, Jeff Bezos is worth $145 billion. This enormous wealth comes from Jeff's ownership in multiple companies, including Blue Origin and the Washington Post. But most importantly, a massive portion of Bezos' value is from his shares in the company he officiates as CEO, Amazon. It would appear that Jeff and Mackenzie did not sign a prenuptial agreement. The reason for this is obviously not known, and frankly no one's business, but keep in mind they did tie the knot before Jeff was a millionaire. So, because of the lack of prenup, it's safe to assume Mackenzie will be entitled to half of what Bezos has. For those of you who are not experts in mathematics, half of $145 billion is over $70 billion. Now, because this wealth is mostly made up of shares, the transaction of $70 billion over to Mackenzie could take the form of half of Jeff's shares. This seems like the most feasible possibility, and it depends on how liquid Jeff is with his assets, meaning how quickly he can turn those assets into actual dollars. If that is possible though, and Jeff can get half of his worth into cash money, then Mackenzie could get her half of the pile without gaining any shares of Amazon stock. If you want to know what $70 billion can buy you, go back and watch all my videos and there's your answer. It can buy you all of that. Well, except for the International Space Station. It can only buy you half of that. Regardless of how it pans out, if the couple does split the money, then without a doubt, Mackenzie will become the richest woman on the planet. Currently, Francois Bettencourt Myers is the richest woman on the planet. Myers' family owns L'Oreal, and she is worth about $45 billion. After this divorce settles, Mackenzie will take that crown and surpass her by about $25 billion. For Jeff, however, things are looking a whole lot different. Yes, obviously the elephant in the room. Bezos is expected to lose half of his money. This would not only take $70 billion out of his pocket, but it would also take away his status as the richest man in the world, and Bill Gates would return as the so-to-speak king of Forbes. Bezos, if his net worth falls to around $70 billion as expected, would take the third or fourth spot. Warren Buffett would likely be number 2 with about $90 billion, and Bernard Arnault, CEO of Louis Vuitton, would be right there with Bezos at $70 billion. So perhaps this divorce will be just as much of a shot to the pride as a shot to the wallet. depending on what kind of man Bezos is and what he holds most dear. It does get tricky when you start to get into the fine print surrounding divorce. Because the couple has multiple residences across the country, there's a possibility the divorce could be filed in a state where marital property is not presumed to be divided equally. So it might not be so extreme for the two of them, but the jury is still out on that one. One of the biggest concerns for investors is how the divorce will affect the stock of Amazon, since the couple is in possession of 16% of Amazon's $811 billion worth. However, as of now, the stock has only deviated by 0.5%. Now, while this divorce would certainly be the biggest chunk of money Mackenzie has ever been in sole possession of, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out some of her own accomplishments. Anyone and literally everyone is overshadowed by the wealth of Jeff Bezos. But Mackenzie has written 2 successful novels. Her first book, The Testing of Luther Albright, a novel, is a psychological thriller that the Times called quite absorbing first novel. I'm sure after the separation is settled, Miss Bezos will have plenty of time to publish that third book. Let me know in the comments what you guys would do if you found yourself in her shoes and suddenly came into possession of $70 billion. I, for one, would buy another boat for my son. Oh, how he loves boats. In the meantime, I'll clue you in on another massive divorce, and one that also happened under the scrutiny of the public eye. Michael Jordan, better known as the greatest of all time, if the LeBron stans would please refrain from the comment section. But yes, MJ got divorced in 2006, and it was a massive one indeed. The separation ended up costing the basketball star $168 million. Since his third and final retirement from basketball, Michael's shoe brand, Air Jordan, has earned him hundreds of millions and has made him one of the richest athletes to ever live. But this wealth took a rather substantial hit when he and his then spouse, Juanita, separated. That day, Juanita became a multi-millionaire, and the Jordan crying face became as relevant as ever. Another divorce that made waves in the sports world was that of Tiger Woods and his ex-wife, Elaine Nordegren. This divorce was as costly as it was a PR nightmare for the golfer. Not only did Tiger go through an endless public shaming for his adultery that led to his separation and a grinding halt to his illustrious golfing career, but in the process, Tiger lost $100 million. But this cost doesn't even account for the money he would have gained if his career had continued on the path it was heading. Not only did Tiger's performance plummet, but he lost countless sponsorships, which would have garnered him millions over the years. Tiger has, as of late, had a bit of a comeback story, and the fickle media appears to be on his side again. He's been in contention in many tournaments, and Nike still endorses. Mel Gibson's divorce in 2006 costed him an astonishing $425 million, after 26 years of marriage with Robin Moore Gibson. Paul McCartney's divorce from Heather Mills cost him an estimated $48.6 million. Oh, and of course, how could we forget the leader of the free world, as it were? Donald Trump gave up $25 million when divorced his first wife. I'm sure that ruined any big career plans he had in the future. The terrible news just goes on and on. Of course, sometimes, where there's infidelity, it's hard to feel bad for some people. But that's enough on this topic. It's a bit of a drag, isn't it? All in all, divorce is a nasty subject, and it's very, very messy. It's certainly not as glamorous as a subject I would like to cover. But whenever the richest man on the planet has such a significant financial situation such as this, I simply can't help myself. The average American divorce costs around $30,000, and most of this total is just from legal fees alone. It doesn't include the assets that would need to be split among the two parties. It's an unfortunate thing that I would hope to be avoided more often. But that's just the life we live in, I gather. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, or if you love your spouse, like the video and be sure to subscribe to my channel. As always, I'm Mr. Luxury, wishing you a happy marriage and bidding you adieu. Pip pip de doodly doo.